everybody. I have decided to start a blog about my experiences that I have dealt with since the spring semester of 2019. I'm a full-time student at KU, and I have to say this semester has been really challenging, not education-wise. It went really smooth for me. Apologize for my phone. It is off now. When I say it was a really difficult year, I am talking about my health. I actually was just diagnosed a week ago with lupus, and I didn't get that diagnosis. Let's see, it's been about 6 months now. I'm going to tell you about all my frustration with it, because I have to say I lost faith for a while because nobody was able to figure out what was going on with me. So I'm going to just kind of start from the beginning with that. So it was after my boyfriend left to return back to the Dominican Republic to finish school. So that was January 5th. I was fine, although my pacemaker was starting to get to that point where it needed to be changed. I have complete heart block, or also known as congenital heart block. It was something I was born with. My mom has Sjogren's, which, from what my rheumatologist was saying from the Dominican Republic, was that he believes my mom also has that, even though she has no idea if she was ever tested for it. They only told her Sjogren's, and that affects your salivary glands, your eyes. And so she didn't find out till she was 6 months pregnant with me. They didn't hear a heartbeat, so they thought potentially that I was dead until they were able to hear a heartbeat, and they let her know that, hey, you have Sjogren's and your daughter is going to have a pacemaker in the moment she's born. So, a little bit of backstory on that. But continuing on. So it was maybe until, I would say, December, January, February. About February that I was really having a hard time because my battery was starting to slow down. And as my cardiologist was telling me, it kind of goes into this backup mode where it tries to conserve on battery. Therefore, I'm going to feel symptoms. I was getting really drowsy, horrible fatigue. It was so difficult just to do normal activities. And I'm a full-time student. I have to study. I had a speech class. And I will have to admit that with speech, I lost my breath so much during my speeches. Even though I knew what I was doing, what I was saying, I practiced for it. But it's anytime I would talk, I lost my breath. Therefore making it look like I didn't know what I was talking about or forgot my lines. But I had to explain that to my teacher, hey, it's not because I forgot what I was going to say, it's because I need to catch my breath. So I had those kind of symptoms, just general fatigue, but I didn't really feel achy at this time. It was just more I really had to advocate to my cardiology clinic about, hey, you guys need to do my pacemaker change in March during my spring break, because I'm not going to have it where all of a sudden my battery just dies and I feel like complete shit. Because when I feel the battery die, I'm going to immediately feel my heart rate completely drop. I'm going to feel really gross and like I'm dying, because they always tell you, okay, if your battery dies, this is what you'll feel like you feel like you can't do anything. Just give us a call, which is, I find that always funny, because it's how am I gonna call you if I can't even speak or move? So I really had to advocate, and they finally worked it out. I had my generator change, aka pacemaker change, March 8th. And before I had my pacemaker change, I was kind of having GI issues. I thought maybe, okay, I just ate something wrong. I was having a lot of diarrhea. No vomiting at this time, but for me, it was kind of non-stop. And normally that's weird, because if it was the flu, it would have been done. Well, then it went silent before I had my pacemaker change. And it was still silent for a couple weeks after my process of recovering, until I would say end of March, beginning of April. I was just feeling horrible. Obviously this was all recovering. I was taking my antibiotics. I finished it. And I just don't know how to explain. I just didn't feel like me. I was still extremely tired. But I was like, well, maybe it's just because I'm still healing. But it was like I was having nonstop temps, but not super high, like mild, like between 99.4 and 99.8. Sometimes it would go to 100, but that was really about it. And I was like, well, I don't have an infection, but the GI issues came on so horribly again. I was constantly going maybe like 7-8 times a day. And therefore I was like, okay, maybe I have a dairy intolerance suddenly. Like, not that I've ever had it, but who knows, your body does weird things. So I tried to like cut back on that, completely out of my diet. Not that. Then I tried like a gluten-free. Yeah, I know it takes time for these things to work, but it's going to like an expensive store where like they use other ingredients to make up for gluten. Still was not that, because this time I was not able to keep anything in my body. I was throwing up constantly, having diarrhea. Sorry, it's a little TMI, but it was just awful. I can't even explain how awful it was. And like, I had like horrible side pain along with it. And my first time going to the hospital, they did a CAT scan, like with that fluid stuff. I think that's what it was, a CAT scan. Where like it's that heat, it makes your body feel like you're on fire. And like as if you kind of like have the sensation of like needing to pee. Everything was fine, blood worked normal, blah, blah, blah. And they recommended me a GI. And also, the same time, the same week, I went to the clinic at KU. Because I was like, oh my God, I feel horrible. Like, I feel like I'm about to throw up. And I can deal with any kind of pain. But the sensation of throwing up, I just can't. I don't know, like, I'm so used to it now, but I still don't like that sensation before. I don't think anybody would. But I went to the KU clinic, and I told her what was going on. And so we did, like, a fecal, which would take time, like about a week. Got it back in a week and a half. Everything was normal. She's like, well, because at first she thought maybe it was, like, C. diff or, like, an infection I got from my surgery that I picked up from. Because, well, it kind of made sense. No, it was normal. Blood work came back and it just showed that my liver enzymes were a little high, but she's like, I'm not too worried about it. Well, as I said, with going to the hospital, they didn't do any profound testing, really, just that everything's normal, go see a GI doctor. So I did, and that doctor, honestly, was a prick. He was not very nice. It's like he was nice, but not at the same time. He was like, well, why didn't you come sooner, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, I'm here now because I thought maybe it was a flu bug or maybe this. Like, I was trying to do testing before I came here in case it was something else. So wasting your time. Like, I try to rule out things before I come in, and like, unless I'm really that bad. So we scheduled a colonoscopy, endoscopy. Everything was fine. And I have to say, I hope I never have one of those again. Because it was horrible. The process of it was horrible. Like, for that, I was surprised. I only took the 4 pills that you're supposed to take, and I started throwing up when I had nothing in my stomach. Like, my stomach was so sensitive at that point. It was ridiculous how much I was throwing up. They, like, literally every time I went to the hospital, I went twice, because the second time, like, he just didn't believe me. He's like, I mean, I guess your pain could be real, but I'm just gonna give you this, let's see, what was it, fentanyl or something like that, some pain medication, and I don't want that. Like, I hate how it makes me feel, and then you get constipated. Like, I want you people to find out what is wrong with me instead of, like, not listening to me. They just weren't. They're acting like I was crazy, like, get on some anti-anxiety medication, whatever, and I'm like, I'm already back on Lexapro because during that time, too, with, like, all the stomach issues, vomiting, and, like, not knowing what's wrong with me, I started having horrible panic attacks, randomly. And, like, I've had panic attacks before, but, like, these were strong and, like, out of nowhere. So I got back on Lexapro to try to calm myself more. And then they gave me what's that medication? The one that goes on your tongue, helps with, like, nausea. Can't think of the name right now. I'm sure it'll come back to me later. So, did that. And finally, it just kind of got to the point where, like, I wouldn't say I was giving up, but like I know something was wrong with my body. Like it's not me. I do not feel like me. Like it just became more, it got worse over time. Like I finished school strong. I did. I have a 3.7 GPA. Woot woot. But I have to say, it was not a pleasant way to end school. Like having people doubt you or not listen to you. I mean, even like my blood family just was not supporting me. And like I live in Lawrence alone. I have my boyfriend and his family support, and it's amazing. And I have my dog too. But finally I was like, because obviously with my family history, my mom has Sjogren's. My great-grandmother had scleroderma, and she passed away really young because of it. Really horrible autoimmune disease. My brother, although he got it from the dad's side because they said this gene comes from your father's side, he has ankylosing spondylitis. He was diagnosed really late because of how doctors were so incompetent and just did not want to listen to his pain. He is like halfway to the point where his spine is like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not forged, but like the calcium buildup or whatever in between his vertebrae. Like he can't bend over because his spine no longer can do that. He takes these shots every few weeks. Like it's supposed to help slow the progress, but eventually he won't be able to do everyday activities like walk. He already kind of waddles some. So that's as far as I know about autoimmune disease in my family. So I went back one last time. Well, actually 2 more times here in America. I went to see Sharon, who was the female provider that I normally see, and I'm like, hey, let's get checked for this. Like, just want to see. Although they did not do a full panel, they only did very few, like rheumatoid factor, your CRP, ANA. Everything came back negative besides my CRP being sky high. It went from like a 6.4. Then she's like, well, let's retest it in 2 weeks and see. Came back, it was close to a 10. It kept getting higher, so at least like with her, she did try to like see what's going on, because obviously with your CRP, your C-reactive protein, that could mean anything's going in your body. Like it's inflammation. So it shows there's something going on, because I was beginning to fucking ache so bad. Arms, my hands, my fingers, which is kind of what my hands look like. I developed this rash in June, and on my feet as well. That extreme fatigue, I could barely do anything but take a shower. I couldn't even eat. I barely even drink. Like, I was bedridden. I don't even know how I managed to get through it. So she tried to put me on this antibacterial medication, like antibiotics, because she's like, well, let's see if it's bacterial. So it's for 10 days, but about day 6, by that time I should have been kicking in, did not feel any better. I just felt the same, even worse, because all I could do was lay. Fortunately, at the time, she was out of town, so I had to go see my actual primary care doctor. And I have to say, I have never been so disappointed in my life, because he was the doctor that delivered me. And usually I've never had an issue. He's always been attentive and caring. This time, he just looked at me. He's like, oh, that's libido on your hand. I'm like, okay, well, what's causing that? He's like, maybe it's medication. I'm like, no, I've been on these medications for a very long time, or I've been on them before. And if they were to, like, give me issues, like, I would have noticed this a long time ago. My hands don't look like this. My feet don't turn this freaking red. I don't get rashes on top of them when I go outside. Or he's like, maybe it's just a virus. I'll refer you to what was it? What was it? I can't think of it. It was like a, like virus type area, like a company, like department where they deal with like the extreme cases, like if you were to have a viral infection, bacterial disease, whatever that you picked up. And I just kind of stared at him and I was like, it's not a virus. I have not had a virus for 5 months at this time. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? Do you think it could be something to do with autoimmune, even though my ANA is negative? He's like, well, very well could be. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, you've seen my history. You know my mom. My mom sees you too. You know I was born with congenital heart block as a fetus. Like, all the signs were there and nobody wanted to help me and treat me. They just acted like I was crazy. And, like, I don't get frustrated. I don't cry. I don't like to cry in front of people at all. But I got so frustrated and I was like, you people are so incompetent. I mean, I can't say the same about at least Sharon, because at least she did try something and did believe me about my pain and not make me feel crazy. But I was like, am I safe to go to the Dominican Republic? Am I okay to go? Because I'll see a rheumatologist there. You can still refer me to somebody. But I need to be seen right away and not have to wait 5-6 months like my brother did. Because my brother had to wait 6 months when he could have gotten started sooner on medication. Like, that's not fair. I get there's very few rheumatologists. But the amount of time you make somebody wait is ridiculous. And he's like, yeah, you're safe to go. And he got, like, kind of offended that I asked that for a second opinion, you know? Like, I have the right to get a second opinion, whether that's a doctor here in the country or outside. Like, that is my decision. So, I went to do that. So at this time, with my symptoms, still the rashes on my hands, they're still there. Feet, well, this Raul from Dominican Republic, my rheumatologist there, says I do. It's not as bad at the moment. It's just kind of more, you kind of see me more at my, I guess, best. Still temperature. Beginning to get really high blood pressure for no reason. I don't ever have high blood pressure, but I was having like 150 over 90s, 140 over 70, and normally I'm always at like 120 over 80 or 110 over 80. It's very abnormal for me. Really bad panic attacks, feeling very just like out of it. Like, I would feel like I'm not, like, it's like as if I'm not in my own body. Like, sometimes I feel like I'm not there. Still, it's like every day is like different for me because I have pain in my wrists, my hands, sometimes it can be in my knees. Like, I find it where I don't even like to drive anymore because sometimes I'm achy. I'll get panic attacks when I'm in the car. And that is something that Raul explained to me. He told me lupus patients can have really bad panic attacks because your veins constrict, causing a lack of blood flow to your brain. Therefore, your brain goes into panic mode because it's not getting the blood it needs. And so my boyfriend and his family took me to have my consultation because over there you can do a walk-in on the same day. You just, pay for the visit and wait your turn and sit. Simple as that, instead of having to wait a ridiculous amount of time just to be seen. And, he straight up looked at me, he's like, you have a rash on your face, even though it's not, like, a complete, you don't always have to have a full butterfly. Like, it can just be here or there. Like, it doesn't have to be full-out blister looking. Your hands have a rash. Your feet have a rash. Like, I have pain in my chest, like when I take a deep breath. When he heard the family history, when he heard about my mom, he's like, the signs are so simple. You have lupus. Like, we're going to test you for that. But when he first heard the congenital heart block, he's like, yeah, that was neonatal lupus. Like, your mom's a carrier of it. Like, are you sure your mom doesn't just have lupus and Sjogren's? Because that's very well possible. You can have both. And I was like, well, she's never told me lupus. She only told me Sjogren's. Like, I will tell her to get checked for it, which I'm surprised she never has. But it is 100% lupus because when you are a carrier of it with the Sjogren's or have Sjogren's, your antibodies will attack your heart. And that is the first thing lupus does. So my main thing that lupus has done to me, attack my heart. I have a pacemaker. You can see my scar there. I also have one on my abdomen, but I won't show. So as a baby, I had it in my abdomen until I grew older. So, got tested. So once I get my results, you bring your results. It's not online like you have here. You bring everything with you so the doctor can see. And my C-reactive protein was still pretty high. Some tests were negative, like my ANA was fine, but like certain ones like the SCL antibody 70 was positive. Some of them were positive, some of them were negative. So he said like I have a mild case of it, but that means it could progress and that I need to get started on medications as soon as possible, which he wanted to recommend me the hydroxychloroquine. I'm sorry if I butchered that. So, all he could do for me there, because he's not licensed here, was, before my flight, take an aspirin 2 days prior, and, pardon me, if I itch, take Benadryl. Sometimes I kind of do itch on my hands if they kind of break out more. And my family gave me this cream called Odol. I don't think we have that here in America, but it kind of reminds me of a icy hot, except not so much the cold part. It's kind of like it eliminates the pain better for me. I've noticed that Advil and Tylenol does not do anything for me. Because there have been nights where it's really hard to go to bed because I feel like dull painness in my arms. So, tried to go yesterday with my lab results, go to a doctor named Crook, and I have to say, I have never been so angry in my life. I don't cry, but I had the biggest breakdown in the car. My boyfriend called me to, try to help me calm down and move forward, It's really nice of him, but literally this doctor, first things he said, I don't trust a doctor from another country. I don't trust his opinion. I don't trust his diagnosis, even though I had my results there. He's like, well, it's mildly positive. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what he said. I told this doctor, Crook, everything that Raoul told me. And he just kept saying, is he a natural doctor? I'm like, he's a rheumatologist. He's recommended by the embassy. He is who I saw because I could see him on the same day. I literally told him everything. I'm like, my symptoms, my rashes, and literally Dr. Crook said, you don't have a rash on your face. It's not a malar rash because they go like that. I was like, every lupus is different, is what Raoul told me. They are not all the same. For me, mine causes a lot of GI issues. Mine cause pain in my hands, my fingers, my wrists, my joints, technically, but that's where I mostly feel it. I have panic attacks. I feel out of it. I feel extreme fatigue. I have a high heart rate for no reason because it's probably because I have a temperature. My heart rate should be at a 70. Yesterday it was at 100. My blood pressure is a little bit better, but it's still elevated. And he just tried to tell me, well, you don't have lupus, you're just crazy, technically. Because he was so fucking pissed, had a dick up his ass, pardon my language, all because I went to see another doctor in another country as a second opinion and to try to help me get a diagnosis. And he tried to get me to get more blood work, the same kind, and not for the complemental levels. And I was like, why would I do that when I just got this blood work done 2 weeks ago? Why would you do the same thing when it's going to show you the same information? And why would you order other blood work when those were fine? It made no sense. And I told him, no, I'm not wasting my time like you've already wasted mine. You're so incompetent. You're just a general doctor. I don't ever get this disrespectful. But him, worst doctor I've ever seen. Worst freaking doctor ever. Telling me that I'm crazy, basically. It made me feel horrible. Like, Why are you people not listening to me? Why are you not believing me? I have my results, and you even just said that it's mildly positive. And you're standing there telling me it's not lupus, it could be fibromyalgia, but I'll still refer you to a rheumatologist. And that's how that appointment went. Like, I had so many questions because I'm like, okay, I know hydroxychloroquine, you have to have your eyes checked because it can do damage to your retinas over the year. I know they have to monitor closely because it can also do things to like your liver and your kidneys. Obviously, you need all those things. And I was wanting to ask him about, like, do I need to take vitamin D? Because I won't be able to be out in the sun as much. I have to avoid it because now it's my enemy. Should I take omega-3 fish oil? Can I stop my birth control? Because it's what Raul told me. He told me no more birth control because no more hormonal stuff going on in your body because it can flare with your lupus. No more, no fast food. Like, it's okay once in a while to have it, but you have to have a really big diet change. No preservatives. Well, obviously that's really hard here in America. I have to say there's a lot of fresh foods back in the DR. That I really miss a lot, but I have been trying to make those changes of what I can change, what I can do. Always a umbrella, sunscreen, my biggest fan. Things like that. And he wants me to start medication right away as I get back here, because obviously he can't prescribe me anything since I'm here. But now that I'm here, I have to wait for that referral to call me. And that could take time, and even when they call me, it could be months. Like, I was crying so much in the car, I was like, baby, maybe they're gonna make me just sit here and just suffer. They don't believe me, tell me it's all in my head. I think that is the worst feeling ever. Like, they just want your money. They don't care that you're suffering. And, like, I really feel for people who, are being neglected like this. Like, I see why people commit suicide, and that's, the one thing Raul told me when he went over my results. He looked at me, he's like, I believe you. You're not crazy. And that, meant the world to me. Because it was like, I finally have an answer. Although it raises so many questions, a lot. But now back here, and doctors just are winning the fight with you because you got a second opinion from another country. And now I don't know what to do besides what I can do for myself and what Raul told me to do. That's all I can control at this point. Hopefully I will get a rheumatologist that will work with me, get me started. It might be until by Christmas time that I see somebody. I just don't know what the future holds, but I will do what I can for now, and I plan to make this blog hopefully every week or every other week. I'll be starting school back up on the 26th, so it's about a week and a half from now. I really, really want to dedicate this page to lupus survivors. For us warriors out there, I totally understand your pain. Don't give up, because I have to say that it's definitely one thing. You have to fight like hell. That's what Raul said. He said you need to have as much support as possible and listen to your body. If you feel tired, say you're cleaning the house, you feel tired, just let that shit go. It can be done another day. You just have to know what you can do. Don't overdo it. Body is the main thing you need to worry about first. You only have one body. Take care of it. So I hope you guys like this video. I'm Sadie. I should have properly introduced myself. This page is also a Russian learning page. I upload videos in Russian or teach Russian, some English, if you're ever interested. Or I just kind of do videos of me speaking in Russian. That is my major at KU. I am getting a Russian bachelor's of Russian language and history and literature. The history part is my minor. I would really love to be a translator someday. I will want to do it for like the government, maybe teach it on the side. See whatever kind of comes my way, really. I will have my director help me with like future jobs. There's also like a department at my school where they help you like find jobs in your degree, like before you graduate and such, instead of like graduating and not having the job in your field. So thanks guys for watching, and I will be back with more videos. Let me know what topics maybe you have, or if you want me to kind of touch more up on certain subjects, kind of what I mentioned in this video about doctors not wanting to take. I apologize, my mom's dog is whining. She sees a squirrel. If maybe you want to kind of further explore about maybe incompetent doctors not wanting to listen to you, more about like experiences, or maybe touch up about like more about heart diseases like what I have, because I know that is a main part. If there's other people that have had similar stories, definitely share it. I'm all open to ideas and talking about anything. So let me know. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye!